Russian drones just spent the week sightseeing over NATO. First Poland, now Romania. Poland scrambled jets, closed airports, called NATO. Romania sent up F-16 for a 50-minute staring contest. And NATO? They launched something called Operation Eastern Sentry. Translation, we're awake now, promise. Welcome to Past Cast, where politics meets history with a twist of satire. If you enjoy our take, hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next story. Days before the drones, Poland's brand new president, Karol Nawrocki, walks into the White House with the world's shortest wish list. More America, please. Trump smiles like a jet salesman. We can send more troops if you want. Nawrocki nods like a man buying extra insurance. Yes, when U.S. soldiers are in Poland, Poles sleep better. There's a flyover. There are photos. There are smiles. Message received. Poland to Washington. Help us stay boring. We'd rather not co-star in Ukraine too. September 9th. Between 19 and 23, Russian drones drift into Poland. 4 are shot down. Debris hits villages. Airports close. Moscow shrugs. Not aimed at you. Trump echoes that it could have been a mistake. Poland's prime minister snaps back. Not a mistake. Translation, Trump's oops theory, rejected. Poland pulled the Article 4 alarm, NATO's version of let's talk before this turns into World War III. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called it an unacceptable and dangerous development. NATO chief Mark Rutte thundered, "We can't have Russian drones entering Allied airspace." And Trump? He muttered, "Could have been a mistake." Europe sipped coffee and quietly panicked. Here's what raised eyebrows. Just days before the drones, Putin was on a Beijing parade stand with Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un for China's 85th Victory Day. He flies home, and suddenly drones start drifting over Poland and Romania. Was it planned together? No proof. But the timing looks like Putin left the party, skipped dessert, and served NATO some drones instead. Xi probably thought, not great for business, but useful. Kim? He was probably overjoyed. For him, NATO panic is free entertainment. Then, as if Poland wasn't enough, a drone wandered into Romania. F-16 scrambles circled for nearly an hour. Pilots came this close to blasting it, but decided not to redecorate a village with drone shrapnel. Romania summoned Russia's ambassador. Zelensky chimed in, "This is an obvious expansion of the war. Sanctions, tariffs, collective defense." In other words, the war just got a new travel agency. For Poland, this isn't new. Russia has been the neighbor from hell for centuries. 1772, Russia helps erase Poland from the map. 1920, Poland smacks the Red Army at the Miracle on the Vistula. 1939, Hitler from the west, Stalin from the east. 1940, Katyn massacre, Soviet bullets, Polish graves. Cold War, Warsaw Pact. Translation, Moscow's pet. So why the drones? Option A, bad navigation, vodka in the control room. Option B, a Kremlin test, probing NATO's reflexes. Poland's Foreign Minister Sikorski cut the comedy. It was a Kremlin test on NATO. In short, Russia is poking NATO, a coalition that can't agree on pizza toppings, but does agree on air superiority and Article 5. And here's the risk. One drone, one mistake, one explosion on NATO soil. Suddenly, Article 5 isn't just a treaty, it's a doomsday lever. Fun fact, NATO has only pulled that lever once, after 9/11. Not for stray drones, not for lost balloons, only for the world's biggest terror attack. At 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, if a cheap drone crosses the wrong line, do we really want to find out if NATO would hit Article 5 again? So NATO launched Operation Eastern Sentry. More jets, more helicopters, more missiles, more acronyms. Czech helicopters are already in Poland, French and German jets are patrolling, and a frigate is cruising the Baltic. It's a show of muscle, and also a reminder that NATO's idea of subtlety is parking a battleship in your backyard. So where are we now? Trump says, could have been a mistake. Poland says, no mistake, this was deliberate. Romania says, we nearly shot one. NATO says, Eastern Sentry to the rescue. And Russia? They just shrug again. The truth, Europe's skies are crowded, nerves are raw, and history shows Poland never forgets. One more mistake, and the whole alliance might find out the hard way what Article 5 actually means. Thank you for watching Pastcast, where the past echoes through today. If you enjoyed the satire, scrolls, and scandals, like, subscribe, and ring the bell before the next empire falls.